everyone, and welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. What we're going to be talking about today, as you can see from the title, is all the things that you should be avoiding if you have dysautonomia in POTS. If you're someone like me, maybe you're recently diagnosed and you're searching for answers for anything that can help you feel better. And so the things I'm going to talk about today are really important in your treatment and your getting to feel better and helping your symptoms improve. So just keep watching if you'd like to learn a little bit about what you can do to help your symptoms. Okay, so number one is dehydration. You need to avoid becoming dehydrated at all costs. It is horrible for POTS. We need that fluid in our bodies to keep our blood volume up and to keep our circulation going. If we become dehydrated, you'll notice a lot more symptoms. You're going to be having headaches, you're going to be more tired, and you're just going to not feel good. I know for me, if I'm hydrated and I'm taking in at least 80 ounces to 100 ounces of water, I notice a huge difference in my symptoms. Whereas if I have a day, like we recently went on a trip in the car for about 4 hours and I didn't want to have to stop to pee every 2 seconds. So I didn't drink very much that day. Well, my heart was shooting up, really easily. My tachycardia was horrible, really tired. And, I just felt a huge difference. So hydration is really important. So avoid being dehydrated. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk about is alcohol. Now, people have different opinions on this and they've adapted, the right protocol for them based on their own situation. But for me, I just choose to go based off the science of what alcohol does to the body, and I just choose to avoid it altogether because I don't need any more reasons to feel sick. So what alcohol does to the body is it prevents your blood vessels from constricting, and that results in your blood circulation not being able to smoothly travel up to your heart and into your brain. And so you're not getting that circulation. And if you have POTS, you know how important that blood circulation is, because if you don't have it, you're getting all sorts of symptoms such as brain fog and lightheadedness, and of course the tachycardia. So if you're wanting to see some improvement in your POTS and maybe you haven't cut out alcohol, I would say go ahead and try that and see if you see any improvement. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth a try, and it's just something I thought I would put on the list because it definitely can't help your POTS, and I'm sure it's probably, if you're drinking it regularly, not a good thing. So alcohol, try to avoid that if you can. So the third thing that I'm going to talk about is prolonged bed rest. Now, this is a tough one because if you have POTS, oftentimes you just feel so tired, and especially if you're having really episodic days, you just want to lay in bed all day because you don't have the energy to function. You're getting up and your heart just races. The severity is different for everyone. So for one person, their heart might go up to 110, another person 120, 130, 140. Some people's heart rates go up even higher than that. So, it's a case by case thing. But, I just want to say it's understandable if you're having a few days where you just feel like you need to lay in bed. But I'm also saying that prolonged bed rest is definitely not good for POTS and can lead to deconditioning. So you're losing strength, you're losing muscle, and our muscles in our bodies, especially our legs, and our abdomen, is so important when we have poor circulation of the blood, because when we have strong muscles, it's allowing those muscles to work and pushing the blood up and getting more circulation. So if we're in bed for a prolonged period of time and we're getting weaker, it just feels like it's that much harder once we do try to become active again. And I know that's the case for me. If I have a few days where I've done basically nothing, hardly gotten out of bed just to go to the bathroom and to get some food or whatnot, and then I try to, I think that I'm going to have a good day, so I try to do more. It's like, man, this is a lot harder than I remember. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. Just do your best, of course, and some days it is just impossible to get out of bed. But when you can, do what you can, and you're going to really see a difference if you keep that strength up. And once you do start like an exercise regimen under the care of your doctor, and you build up your strength, I really think it's going to help you a lot. And that's something I'm in the process of. So stay tuned for that. Now, the fourth thing I want to talk about is the portion size of our food. So eating large meals, we want to avoid that if we can. It's really problematic for people with POTS when they eat a large meal, because after you eat, all that blood wants to go to your digestive tract and, try to digest the food, which you're already having a hard time doing. The blood isn't circulating up to your brain, and it's just staying there in the belly, and your heart's having to pump harder and harder when you're standing up, and it's just not a good thing. So what my doctor advised me to do is just to kind of graze on food or have really small, more frequent meals, and I find that really helps. Before, I was eating, when I felt like it, I was eating just like a normal sized meal, and almost immediately after, within just a minute or two after I was done eating, I would get brain fog. I would have to lay down and put my feet up and just wait for the brain fog to kind of lift. Sometimes it never would, but now that I'm eating smaller portions and spacing it out throughout the day, it's a lot better for me. Honestly, I haven't been having much brain fog. And I also made that video about taking fludrocortisone, and I talked about how I haven't had much brain fog with it, and that continues to be the case. I haven't had it in several days, and it's amazing. But yeah, eating smaller meals will go a long way to help with your symptoms, brain fog being a really big one. Okay, so number 5 is standing for long periods of time. Now, this can be really bad because it just precipitates the worsening of your POTS symptoms. You're standing there, your heart's working harder and harder to try to get that blood to circulate. It's pooled probably in your legs because you've been sitting, and so your heart just has to work overtime to get that blood up to your heart and to your brain and circulate. So a couple of things you can do and that I've done that I find really help, like if, say, you're feeling okay that day, so you want to wash some dishes, you stand at the counter, and what you can do is you cross your legs really tight while you're standing there, and I find that keeps my heart rate down. Like, it stays in the 90s, whereas before it would be 115, 120, 130. So it really does help. You can also, if you do find you have to stand for an extended period of time, you can also just kind of try to remain mobile in your legs. Move your feet around, move your legs around as much as you can to try to keep that circulation going, if in the case that you do have to stand. But if you're at home and you don't find the need to have to stand there for minutes on end, then just don't do it. Now, I'm not saying laze around the house. If you have some energy to do some things, do things, but just do them in moderation. And we still need to keep our strength up. So it's just all about finding the right balance for you and what you can tolerate. But yeah, I just thought I would add that to the list because standing for a long time is a big trigger for me, and I'm sure it is for a lot of you. Okay, so the 6th and final thing I want to talk about are just finding your triggers, finding what triggers your symptoms. For me, I've found that I can't talk. I say that so many times in my videos. Please excuse me, but sometimes I just get tongue-tied, and I'm sorry. Anyways, for me, I find that chocolate is a trigger. If I have more than just a little bit, for some reason, it just triggers my POTS symptoms. Also, like I said in the beginning, dehydration is a huge one for me. So, we all have different severities of our POTS. We all have different lifestyles, and we all have different triggers. So if we can just work hard at trying to identify those and nip those out, cut them out of our lives as best as we can, then we're going to see improvement in our symptoms. So it takes some self-control sometimes. Like for me, I mentioned chocolate. I love me some chocolate. Like, it's my favorite thing. Like, if I'm craving something, 99% of the time it's chocolate. But is it worth it to feel horrible for hours just for having a little bit too much chocolate? No, it's not worth it. If it's worth it for you, great. But for me, I found that it's not. So, it's just about balance and finding what works for the individual. But hopefully, if you can take some of these things into account and avoid some of the things that are known to be triggers for POTS, then you can start to feel a little bit better in some areas. And that was the goal of this video, just to share some knowledge based on things I've learned through my research and through doctor's visits and just my own experience. So I'm really appreciative for you watching this, because I just want you to gain the knowledge, and I just want us all to learn together and share our stories. So again, that was the goal of this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and like this video. Leave me a comment telling me a little bit about yourself. I love to hear people's stories, so go ahead and share what you want, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.